Hi everyone, and welcome to the first ever episode of The Magic Behind the Mastery TV. For those, well, you've never seen this one before, so I'm going to give you a quick overview of what you can expect from the show and moving forwards, and then we're going to get right into it. So, the idea behind the magic behind the Mastery TV is to provide you with stories and people's experiences that you can learn from. Because we learn a lot from stories. That's why fiction and storytelling tends to do really well when we are trying to relate to people, when we're trying to learn new things, because we can relate to people's stories and we can take bits from stories that are close to our own, and we can then sort of implement the strategies and the lessons that they've learned in the attempt to improve our own lives or whatever it happens to be. So that's the overall aim. That's what I am aiming to do with this show. And to do that, I am enlisting the help of special guests. So of people that have their own story that they are prepared to tell. They have lessons that they have learned along the way, and they are prepared to share it with the world or with the people that watch this show. So, in the future, I will be having interviews with other people. But today, with it being my first ever show, I'm going to give you a bit of a background into my own story. So, what I've done, my experiences, and also the lessons that I've learned when I look back, I guess, because the lessons that we've learned and the things that we take away from our experiences only really happen when we look back. So when we reflect over the life that we've had, that's the time when we are able to learn and we are able to come up with the things that we've learned along the way. So every show is going to have a news aspect. They're going to have a part where I get information, I do research on other business people and other entrepreneurs and other, sort of influential people, and give you a bit of information about what they are up to. And today I have two people. So, first on my list is Richard Branson. Now, if you don't know who Richard Branson is, he is the owner of Virgin. And when I was looking through his Instagram, so he seems to spend not a lot of time, but he does hang out there every so often and he does put things out. And one of the things that he is doing when I was looking were his A to Z of business. So it's his kind of top traits or top sort of things that you need or things that can better your business. And he's going from A to Z. That's what he's doing. So when I was looking, I found B. So he was up to B. So we'd only just started. And what he was what he was doing was he was giving us the idea that bravery is important. That bravery is something that can benefit you and can help you with your business. And he talks about things like taking chances, taking risks in order to do that. So a lot of people say that taking risks and doing things, even though they might not work out, is something that you can benefit from. But in order to do that, there's an element of bravery in there. There's an element of, you need to be a certain type of person in order to do that. That's why not everybody can run a successful business or a multi-billion or trillion-dollar a year business like what Richard does. And I agree with Richard, all right. I agree that taking risks and being brave is important, but it's obviously just as important to understand when to take the risks and when to not take the risks, and when, you know, when to go for it 100% and when to sort of test the water and see how things go. And this relates to my second person. So the second person that I want to mention is Gary Vaynerchuk. Now, what Gary does, he runs VaynerMedia, which is a social media company. They help, basically he helps businesses use social media to enhance their business, to enhance the results that they are already getting. And he works with, you know, your top brands in the world. He mentions Under Armour in some of the things that he spends his time on. And what he talks about quite a lot is talent. That's one of the things that he spends his time mentioning, because you need to be good. You can't do all the right things and expect good results. You've actually got to be good. And he uses basketball as an example. So what he does is he says, you know, you can train every day, you can work really hard, but, you know, using the basketball analogy is, but you're just not Michael Jordan or LeBron James are the names that he uses. And that goes down to the bravery side and taking risks, because if you're not good and you take risks and you do things even though they don't, you know, you're not quite sure if they'll work out, whether they work out or not, can it can be reliant on whether you're good or not. So if you're good at what you do, then you can take risks, and because you're good, they can probably work out. You can take the same risks, work just as hard, but simply not be as good, and, you know, you'll get different results. You probably won't succeed in that area. So he talks about this, and he says, you know, if you are good, that still means you have to work hard. That still means that you are going to struggle, because being good isn't enough either. You need to work hard and you need to be good as well. Okay? So that's what he talks about. A little bit of news for you, imparting a little bit of wisdom, and there we go. So, moving on, we're going to talk about my own story, where I've come from a little bit. This was one strand of thought from beginning to end. I'm going to try my best to relate it to the news, so there's a running theme along the journey of this show. Excuse me. And, okay, starting point. I used to be a personal trainer before I started doing this. Okay, I started when I was about 16. I started exercising, 15, 16 years old. And the reason for it, the reason why I started, was because I was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis when I was 2 months old. So I have cystic fibrosis. And when I was 15, I was told I could start exercising in a gym and start trying to get fitter and healthier through exercising. And this was really good, because it's something that I've kept up now for 10 years this year. And it was really interesting to see the results, and I was getting fitter, things were working out, it was going great. But then when I was 22, so this was, 15 to 22, 7 years. So 7 years later, when I was 22, I was then diagnosed as a diabetic. All right, so, you know, almost like kicking me while I'm just about to get up, you know. So I was down, just about to get up, and I get knocked down again. And things are gradually picking up again. So I'm starting to basically push through and still feel healthy and fit again, and basically working with what I've been given. All right, because it's quite easy for me to just not do things. It's easy for me to not eat a particular way. It's easy for me to not exercise. Very easy, just not do it. But I realized that there was a bigger reason why I was doing it, which meant exercising then became part of my life. It was just the way I did things. And then when I was 22 and being told I was diabetic, that knocked me down, and I realized that, okay, well, then my diet has got to be a bit better as well. And if you don't know a lot about the two conditions that I have, you know that things like stress can play a part, sleep can play a part, diet and exercise obviously plays a part as well. And the running theme, so the lessons that I've learned now, so now my diet is okay, I'm exercising okay, health wise, I'm also okay. Obviously, wasn't always that way. So the lessons that I've learned from that, the things that I'm taking away from that, is basically it's overcoming adversity and understanding that there are things that you just have to do. Okay, it's easy for me to not do it. Okay, but over the years I've gotten good. So talent, excuse me, getting back to what Gary says about being good, over the years you get good at doing things. Over time you get better. Over time you develop things, you develop your way of doing things, and you can move forwards. And then when you get knocked down, you've got to decide. So you've got to decide, are you brave enough to move forwards and do what else needs to be done? Are you brave enough to improve? Are you prepared to take risks? Are you prepared to change? Are you brave enough and courageous enough to accept that maybe, just maybe, things can get better than what they are right now? Things can get better than what you're experiencing now. Just because you're not good now doesn't mean you can't be good in a year's time, in 2 years' time. Okay? Just because you're not brave right now, you don't take action that you want to take. That doesn't mean that you can't take action now. That doesn't mean that you can't change. Okay? You can't let your past become your present and your future if you don't want it to be that way. Okay, if you don't want it to be that way, then you have to be brave. You have to take control. You have to do what you can with what you're given. You have to overcome the adversity that you're experiencing in order to achieve what you want to achieve. Okay, dead simple. One lessons that I've learned right now, as you do get better, as you start to get better, as I have, and as a lot of other people have, you start to feel like you're making progress. So after you've overcome the adversity, after you've got over the hurdle, there's an element of confidence that starts to increase. There's an element of trust and belief in yourself that increases where this starts to happen. All right. So post bravery and post taking action, you feel like you're more empowered. You feel like you can do more, you can be more, you grow as a person, and you become better. Okay, and then when the talent increases, when the skill increases, the results will increase as a result. They work together. It's very hard to be good if you're not prepared to be brave and overcome the adversity. Same as, if we go the other way. So you can be someone that really likes taking action, but is simply not good enough to execute it in, a high enough quality to get the results that you want. These sort of counteract and they stop you from still achieving it. Not because you're not prepared to do things, but because you're not quite good enough yet to make the most of the decisions that you're making. you've got to try to either balance them out or increase them both together, right? So they were the lessons that I've learned over, from 2 months. But when I started to take more control over my own health and things was when I was about 15, 16 till now. Okay, so it's 10 years worth of reflection, 10 years worth of lessons, and I hope that some of you watching this will take that away and understand that courage and trust and confidence and belief happens after overcoming the adversity. Hopefully you will take that away and use that, right? So have a little bit of fun now. So that's the story part over. We're now going to get into the fun bit. So the bit more of a fun bit at the end. So you can breathe. So I'm going to give you 5 random facts about me. Some of them might be quite funny. Some of them might be, you might not have heard them before. Okay, so you know that I've got the 2 health conditions. I've got cystic fibrosis and diabetes. So I was going to use that one as my first one, but now I'm not. So fact number 1 is I am writing a book. That's my first one. I'm writing a book that is a story. So again, in line with this video, I am pretty big on stories and I'm writing my own. Number 2, I am a little bit childish, I guess. So away from here, I like to have fun. I like to do certain things just because I want to do them. I often, I am often childish. I try to laugh at least once or twice or 3 times a week. I try to up my amount of laughter as I go. What are we up to now? 3. Number 3. Oh, it's actually getting hard to pick things. Okay, number 3. I live in the UK and I live in a small town called Widnes. So if you're local, then maybe you've heard of it. Number 4. Number 4. Let's have a think. Number 4. I am a pretty big book reader. So I do read a lot of books. Not only am I writing one, but I also like reading them. And I very often have 2 or 3 books in a cycle at once. They can range from non-fiction and stories to maybe autobiographies. I think I'm going to get into this year. So I'm a big book reader as well. What was that? It's got 1, 2, 3. Number 4 is I like spending quality time with my family. So family for me is my priority. That's number 1. So if I want to do things but I sacrifice my family time, then I don't do it. I push it to the side, not doing it. I like spending time with my family and I prefer to do that. Then my last one. Ooh. Last one. Have a think. Come on, think. Yeah, okay, yeah. Last one, number 5, is I do spend a lot of time online and I have my own Facebook group. So I run my own Facebook group. Okay, that's number 5. And if you want to join the Facebook group, then there'll be a link below in the comments. All right, so this has been the first ever episode of The Magic Behind the Mastery TV with me, Michael McDonald. Join the Facebook group if you want to. And one last thing, I would like you to comment below with your top 5 or your 5 facts about you that you're prepared to share. I want to try to build a bit more of a community aspect to this show rather than me just doing videos all the time and just doing interviews all the time. I want to be able to talk to you through the comments as well. So if any of you have any questions about the videos, giving me feedback about whether you like them or not, how you'd like me to improve maybe. If you have any suggestions about who you would like to see on the show, then feel free to put their name in the comments as well. And yeah, I will actually answer the comments. Okay, this is me doing the videos. I run the channel. I run the show. I will also, excuse me, I will also talk to you if you write a comment in the videos. So don't hold back. The five facts about you are important because I'd like to get to know you, and I'm sure you would like to get to know me and the people that I have on the show as well. Okay, so this was the first episode of The Magic Behind the Mastery TV. I will speak to you again, all right? See you soon.